Well, hello, hello, hello. This is Guitar Chat one more time here. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. We are very happy again to be here. This is the Guitar Chat number 8. We've been doing this for 8 weeks already, and it's incredible. The Vegatrem family is growing, and of course, Guitar Chats it's brought to you by Vegatrem, which are the best tremolo systems in the market for sure. So, we every week we have a different guest, a different artist, a different member of the Vegatrem family, and it's getting very, very interesting as time goes by. So I would invite you to to subscribe to this channel, to press like to the videos, to leave a comment as well, because we always want to know your opinion about the interviews, your feedback. That's very, very important for us. I also have an announcement to make, and is that every month, starting in July, we're gonna be doing a giveaway. We're gonna give away one of our tremolos only if you are subscribed to our channel. That's gonna start in July, so please make sure you're subscribed, because it's gonna be, I think it's a great deal, just the Vegatrem for free. Who doesn't want that, right? Besides that, we're gonna be doing some uh, discount codes during the live streamings. So make sure you stay, throughout the whole video, because you might have a chance to get a Vegatrem at a discount, which is also a great deal as well. So, having said that, without further ado, let me introduce our guest for today. Today we have a veteran rock and roller, Helmut Bibl, played in the famous Austrian rock cabaret Hallucination Company, worked as a studio musician in Frankfurt with Tony Carey, Supermax, and many more. He toured the world with FALCO, Drahdiwaberl, and Supermax, longtime member of Andy Baum and The Trixx, countless workshops and endorsements from Austrian Marshall and Fender equipment, and longtime studio owner and producer for rock bands. So welcome, Bibl. How are you doing today?
Hello, pleased to meet you.
Pleased to meet you too. It's
Thanks for having me.
well, it's a pleasure, man. We've been talking about you here at Vegatrem, from a long time ago, and we really wanted to have you in the show.
Yeah, I'm really glad about the Vegatrem. It's a really good thing. I think I first heard of it from Uri Hellison.
Yeah.
It's a friend of yours,
Oh
I think.
yeah, he's a great friend of mine as well. We met in Austin, Texas, a few years ago. Yeah,
He's a
yeah.
very talented player, very
Oh
talented.
yeah, for sure. And he talked to me about you a couple of years ago. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I know him from a lot. I know him since he was a beginner. It's years ago, and I always I always was glad to meet him. Uh, Even now, if he because he left Austria a long time ago,
yeah,
but I think once a year he comes and I always rent him some gear.
yeah.
He's looking around in my toy park, and I really like him. Yeah, and he introduced me to your tremolo system.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Then I tried it, and it was really easy to put into the guitar.
Yes, yes, yes. That's great. That's one of the advantages, right? Because you can just take the other one off and put this one, and you're almost,
Yeah, yeah.
in
10 minutes. I think 10 minutes for a
yeah.
non-trained technician,
That's
and
right.
it's perfect. It's really perfect.
That's great. That's awesome. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself. You are from Austria, right? Which city you live at right now?
Uh, yes, I started a long time ago. Let's say 50 years.
Wow, that's a long time.
A small country, but nevertheless, we also loved rock and roll here. Yeah, and I started as a very early as a professional. because we toured around, mostly in Germany, because Austria it's a very small country. And so we toured and toured and toured with this, as you mentioned it, Hallucination Company, this rock theater, let's call it this way. But it has elements, it had elements of rock and roll in it, so it was fun to play. And then I moved on to my old friend FALCO when he got famous. He got really famous.
Yeah, well, even in Spain we know him. I mean he's huge here as well.
He was a world star, yes.
Yeah. I mean it's all over the world, right?
Yeah. And it was fun in a way. It was not really a rock band, but it was so I liked his pop music style so much. It was also fun. Playing with him, and it's a special experience playing all these big stadiums and everything is fixed. You don't have to care about your equipment. You have to carry around your own amps.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. How did you end up like that? I mean, how did you get that gig? Because I suppose before that you were already working professionally with these other bands. But how does that work at least in Austria? Is there a lot of musicians, a lot of professional musicians over there? Is there a lot of competition over there?
Not really, because it's, as I said, it's a very small country, so it's also a very small scene.
So I guess all musicians know each other, right?
Yes. And that's the funny thing, because also FALCO played in this band.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. That's great.
Yes. So we knew each other, and so because it did fit well, because I was the rock guy.
Okay, got it.
And it's not bad having a rock guy in a pop band if you are touring, because the plan was also the States. Didn't happen, unfortunately, but we had the schedule already.
And what happened in the end? What happened? Why?
Well, he was burned out. Let's say he was very burned out. We finished a Japan tour, and then he was really tired. And as we all know, he had some drinking problems.
Yeah, well. Same old story, right? I mean, it happens to a lot of our artists. It's a shame. It's a shame because talented people, and then they have these problems, and it's kind of difficult to keep going, right?
That's the bad thing in this scene, because he's not the first one I've lost. Also Supermax, which I also Supermax was a great singer and composer, and also very famous, more in Russia.
Russia, wow.
He didn't like America so much, but we traveled for one gig, for instance, to Siberia.
Wow, how was that? How was that? That's amazing. I want to know more about that.
No, that was a cool experience, because how do you go to so far in the other direction? No, it was fun. And he was very big. He was a big star in Russia.
Okay.
But he also, unfortunately, died in, I think, 2011. Yeah.
Well, he was, because I've been checking out some of the stuff. He was the bass player, right? He played bass.
He was a singer and bass player.
Singer and bass player. But I also saw him playing keyboards in one video that I've been checking out. A Minimoog. Oh, got it. So it was like the synthesized bass, something like that.
No, he played his lead lines, some of his lead lines.
Oh, okay.
On his songs, but he was a bass player.
Nice.
And a very good singer.
Yeah. I could tell. I mean, I could see some of the videos, and it seemed like a pretty fun gig for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
You know, with all the the background vocals and everything, you know, and the dancers and everything. Probably
Yeah,
you guys had a lot of fun, right, on tour.
yeah, it was good. Well, he was a really, he was the real rock star because he played in South Africa, for instance,
Nice.
but in the 80s,
Uh-huh.
where it was a little bit dangerous for white,
Yeah.
blonde guys. He didn't care about anything. He was a real brave heart.
Nice. That's awesome. That's great. Well, so of course you've been touring, you know, you've been doing all these amazing gigs, you know, with getting in big stages, big audiences. And now you have a pretty cool, you know, YouTube channel in which you are demonstrating gear, right? I mean, pedals, amps, guitars. How did you end up doing that? I mean, what was the thing that made you create your YouTube channel and start doing these things?
I always loved having students because it's not only gear. I don't. Sure, I present gear,
Yeah,
but I also want to teach younger players how to use this gear,
got it. I
and
understand.
that's not and that the gear is not the main part. You have to use it,
Got it. Got it. Got it.
and you have to use it right. And for me, it's easy because I started without gear. As you can imagine, in the 70s, we don't have had so, we didn't have so much gear.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
were glad having some tube amps. I remember the first little store who started to import. They drove with a little van to London and
Okay.
brought some gear. And so we saw the first time high-watt amps and Marshall amps, and yeah, it was fun. And then we had this 100-watt high-watt or whatever. And then you had to have a sound on it, and that was not easy because that's, you know, a high-watt amp, you have to crank it very loud,
Yeah, of course.
getting some distortion out of it. Oh, that was
Uh-huh.
heavy.
So how was that thing? I mean, because probably those years in that time, as you just said, there were no a lot of pedals or anything like that. So probably you just had to get the tone from the cable from the guitar up directly into the amp, right? So
Yes, that's
of
it.
course you everything must have been super loud, of
It
course,
was,
right?
yes, 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 yes. But I'm not really deaf.
Wow, that's great, you know, because a lot of people in your
Yeah,
situation ended up being deaf, right?
yeah, that's true. No, I don't. I have a tinnitus since the first rehearsal. I think
Uh-huh.
so for years and years, but it's not so. I can live with it. It's okay.
It's not as bad, right? It's not
It's not as bad. No.
well, that's great. That's being lucky because I've met people that are not that lucky, and it's they say it's a very big problem. Uh, but also, you know, I'm curious as to because nowadays, whenever you go into stage. And you bring a big amp, you know, a super loud amp, everyone's gonna be frowning at you, right? Everyone's gonna
Yeah,
be looking at you with a bad with a bad face,
yeah, yeah.
especially the sound guys. So how did the sound guys manage that back in the day? Can you tell me something
It
about
was
that?
not really different. Maybe it's worse today, but it was also in the old days. That oh, it's too loud. The guitar is too loud. I don't hear anything else. I only hear the guitar. It was always the same problem. But you had to tell him, listen, if there is a crowd in the room, it changes drastically.
Yeah, true.
Nothing is more terrifying than a loud guitar in an empty room.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
soundcheck is bad because soundcheck the room is empty, and so you are really loud. But that changes as the first 5 people come into the venue.
Uh-huh.
And then the drums are very loud because they are complete on the PA, and the singer is loud, and bass also keeps, but the guitar goes down. So you have to find a way having two levels, one level for the sound check and one level for the real gig.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. That's
I have to say, I don't want to play too loud. No, nobody wants to make trouble. But I want to hear myself. That's the real thing. So that's the reason I don't like camper amps and this I don't play in ear and this kind of stuff, because I want to feel my sound. So I have to have a cabinet behind me, and then I have to hear what I do.
Yeah. Well, true. I mean, it's incredible because every time I see your YouTube videos, I'm always impressed by the good tone you always have. You always have amazing, great tone. And that this is one of the questions that I wanted to make you. And so you just told me right now, but what would be the main difference between the real deal, like the real amp, uh, as opposed to something like a Kemper or a Fractal or one of those things? Because to my ears they sound great. These all these digital things, they sound all amazingly good, but they don't feel the same. I don't know if you agree with me.
Yeah, I do. I agree, because that's we tried it camper, and no, I have a camper, but Konrad, my friend, has it because he can use it at home, because that's the practical thing. It's very easy to play at home, because you can't crank an amp. Nobody can crank an amp at home. So there's two possibilities. One is this reactive load thing, which is my choice, because that's also very easy. I have the server, so you can use every tube amp, can crank it, and then instead of using a speaker, you plug it into the reactive load and have the sound really close.
Really close, right?
Yeah,
yes.
Really close, yes. It's a little bit more distortion, let's say, as in the real life, but it's really close.
Yeah, I agree. Do you make your own impulse responses as well?
Yes, I do, because I like my old 69 Marshall cabinet 4x12 very much. It's my favorite speaker. I have a lot. I have an old Orange. I have another Marshall box with 4 different speakers, which is interesting for recording.
Nice. So you have 4 different speakers in the cabinet. So which ones are there?
Yeah, for instance, an EV12.
Okay.
Electro voice. Then the 20-watt Heritage Celestin. Then sometimes I change it a 65 or a vintage 30, which is also not bad for some heavy guys, because there's a difference is, if I own a studio, and so I have people playing in the studio, and they have different tastes of sound. So we try, and let's try this, let's try this. For me, it's clear. I have my old greenback, and I'm happy.
With the greenback, that's your favorite one?
Yeah, the old one, the pre-era.
Oh, okay, nice.
25 watts. Yeah, it's an old cabinet. Nothing beats an old cabinet.
Did you tour with it as well back in the day?
No, I didn't have it. I toured with weird stuff sometimes, but most of the time I toured with an AC30.
Okay, AC30.
Nice. Yes, AC30. That's really good.
Yeah, that's
not too big. It's not too heavy, and you come along. You can do everything with it.
True. Yeah.
You always hear an AC30.
Did you use the AC30 as a pedal platform? So did you put pedals in front of the?
As I said, in the 80s, I didn't have so many pedals. I had a booster.
Oh, okay, that's right.
The amp was cranked, So I had a real nice crunch.
Okay.
And when I turned back, it was perfect clean for me. And then I had a TC booster, which is a very strong booster, line driver booster, I think it was called. And then this was for the lead.
Got it. Got it. So you basically had two sounds, right? The crunch, the boost, and maybe you were cleaning up with the volume knob.
Everything in between, because as I always say, the volume knob. That's the best thing you can have on your guitar. The pickup selector and the volume knob.
The pickups, you said?
The pickup selector. So if you play Strat, you have everything on the Strat. Not you have the really nice neck pickup clean, and then you have the biting hard rock, as we all know from Richie Blackmore. Because that was my first hero.
Well, mine too. I mean, I've learned a lot from Richie Blackmore, and actually, I have. Well, I don't have it here with me, but I have one of those big headstock Strats just because of him. You know, I remember when I bought it, I was 16 years old, and I was so in love with not only Richie Blackmore, also Jimi Hendrix as well. You know, that's why I had the big headstock Fender. You know, the Strat. And it's I mean, Richie Blackmore for me is one of my greatest heroes. I really love the tone he had. You know, it was kind of the Marshall Plexi, right, and the Strat, and it was kind of dark. You know, it was kind of a darker tone, but he had the bite as well. You know, from the single coil pickups. It's just incredible. I just love it. I just love it.
But because you shouldn't say Plexi, because he did so much. I don't know. As we know, he was for days and weeks at the Marshall factory, and they tuned his amp so that he sounds like a big Fox AC30.
Oh wow! Okay.
That's what he wanted, because if you listen to Machine Head, for instance, that's an AC30.
Oh wow! I didn't know that.
And so I think there's a rumor that in the first years, even he had a Marshall stack behind him. In the cabinets, there was an AC30.
Really? Man, I mean, you're blowing my mind. I didn't know that.
Because if you look at some of these old videos, it was really a small venue.
Yeah.
And you couldn't crank a Marshall Major there. That would be enormous. No way. But later on, when they had the big gigs, it was sure this, but very pimped, as we say, Marshall Major. With a different, another gain stage and whatever, because that doesn't sound. I once owned a Marshall Major. But they didn't sound at all like Richie Blackmore. It's a very clean amp.
Yeah. Wow.
Incredible loud, but clean. So you have to boost it with something. And not only with a tape. There was something. Yeah, he had another gain stage built in.
Wow. See, I didn't know that. That's something I didn't know, and it's incredible. I just didn't know that story. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's great. Well, let's talk about guitars as well, because I've seen you mostly with the Strat. I don't know if that's your main option when you wanna play guitar. It's just mostly as the Strat. You're mostly a Strat player. Is that right?
Yes, I am, because most of the time I have one guitar on stage. Don't change too much, and then the Strat is the most versatile one. You can do anything. And for me, I have a very good one. It's a 63, my white Strat. I love it very much. It's really cool. It has lots of low end, and it's really cool. Tried every kind of pickup, because I don't think the pickup is the main part. The main part is the guitar. Then you have to decide, do you want a strong pickup or not so strong pickup, and that's it. And then you wind it more or less. And I prefer the vintage style around 6 something, 6.3. That's my go to bridge pickup.
Got it. Got it. Okay, so normally you go. Do you swap a lot of pickups? Do you try? I mean,
I
you're
try.
trying.
I tried a lot. I tried a lot. And now, and my good friend of mine is my luthier, Andrew. He looks at my guitars for 30 years. He's a very good luthier, and he began to wind pickups. So I
Okay,
tried his pickups, and they are great. They are really great.
awesome. That's great. So talking about that, do you think because of course the main market has been so far either I'm talking in terms of guitars, amps, things like that. Um, Main market has been always American or British, you know. But do you think now in Europe there's a lot of people doing great instruments as well? You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
like for
Yeah,
instance.
yeah, yes. I'm not really sure about amps.
Uh-huh.
There are some, but anything else is very well in Europe.
Yeah. So you mean we have a lot of pedal makers, for instance. I remember right now. I know these guys from Greece,
Yeah, yeah,
Sakalis. They're great. Here in Spain, we also have Thermion. These guys, they make great pedals as well. They make great amps as well. But the pedals are kind of going up
yeah.
because they're doing great quality. But what about the guitar builders? Do you know any guitar builder here in Europe
Yeah,
that?
there are guitar builders. As I said, also my friend Andrew can
Mhm.
make a guitar, and it's really good guitar. But yeah, sure, it's more expensive because if you have mass production, you can
Uh-huh.
go down with the price. If it's
That's
really
right.
handmade and so can be a little bit pricey.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, but as you mentioned, Big Tone, that's a
Uh,
very good amp. It's a Spain
oh,
hit.
Big Tone. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right. Yeah, yeah, they're great. They're awesome.
they're
They're
great.
awesome amps as well. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes.
It's funny because when I was living in the States, I always, there's a page in which it's called Craigslist. I don't know if you know it,
Yeah, yeah,
Craigslist.
yeah, yeah.
In this page, sometimes you can find a lot of used gear and things like that. And I remember I was always watching an app that someone put that they were selling a big tone amp, over there in America for
Yeah.
for $3,000, which is
Yeah.
it's kind of pricey, right? And I was always, curious as to who was the guy who had the big tone, right? All the way from Spain to to America. I mean, I don't know if they sell them in America. I don't think so because other than that, I never saw them in stores or anything like that. There's another brand that I really, really, really love, from a guy, a builder. His name is Jimmy Soma, and his brand's called Somatone. And he only sells his amps over there, in the States. And I was always telling him, hey man, you should bring your amps to Europe because I'm pretty sure everybody would love them. It's it has some kind of I don't know. I think it sounds similar to me like a magnetone. You know those amps, the magnetones?
I have in market. I love it.
So it's kind of that vibe, it does something very, very special, and it breaks out so beautifully, and
Yeah.
I was all the time telling him, hey man, you should bring the your amps to Europe, maybe I can help you get dealers or whatever. But he was like, no, 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 I just don't need it, man.
That's
I'm
not easy. It's not easy. From the
Yeah.
marketing point of view, it's not easy because there are so many there's so many new gear coming out every week, and as we all know, there is a big market of the American guys, and okay, you have to compete with it. But why not? Why not? And all the good amps started as building very few, because if one guy builds an amp, it takes a long time.
Yeah, yeah.
I have a good friend too, because I also need a technician for my amps.
Uh-huh.
Andrew is the guy for the guitars. I have another friend, Robert, who lives 150 kilometers far away from me, but I drive to him when I have some problems with my gear, because
Uh-huh.
he fixes it really good, and he also is he can build an amp,
Uh-huh.
no problem for him. So
Wow.
it's a friend of mine got one. It's really good. It's like a Soldano,
Uh-huh.
because yeah, as we know, Soldano is very expensive.
Oh yeah, it is.
That's one of the few amps I never owned. I never owned a Dumble, sure.
Oh wow, yeah, that's another very pricey thing, right?
Yes. And I'm not sure if that's my world, because I'm more the Plexi. My world is the Plexi world.
The what? I'm sorry.
The Plexi, Marshall Plexi style.
Oh, okay, got it. The Plexi,
And
yeah, yeah.
I would say Dumble is more the big sounding Fender amp style.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I had a Turok, amp when I
Okay.
was over there, which are, they're going for that sound, right? Kind of going for that sound, and yes, it's more similar to the Fender, but
If your main sound has to be a very, very good clean sound, I
Mhm.
would say you are fine with this kind of Turok or Dumble. And sure, they also have a very good lead channel, but I wouldn't pay $80,000 for an amp. I couldn't.
Yeah, me neither. That's right. Well, this Turok that I had, it only had one channel, so I
Mm.
didn't have, I didn't have distortion. I was just using pedals with it,
Okay.
and it was the breakout was very, very cool, very beautiful. But honestly, it didn't have, because it was 35 watts. It didn't have a real clean tone, only a
Mm.
very low volumes, of course,
Yeah.
but whenever you wanted to crank it up a little bit, it started, breaking from the amp section, not the preamp section,
Yeah.
so that's why, that the power amp section, I'm sorry. So that's why you always got a little bit of that breakout, I mean, for playing rock and roll, it was great, it was incredible. But I remember I brought it once to a cover band gig, and I was trying to play some clean funk guitar, and I just couldn't,
No,
because I
that's
didn't,
not.
because I didn't have that clean tone, that I
Yeah.
could have with. I remember I had another a Fender Deluxe Reverb, and that's really, really, really clean, But
Yeah,
this
but also
Turok,
on a very low level.
yeah, true, because it can also,
20 watt is not really.
yeah, but
There's not, because that's a big thing for me is the headroom.
the headroom, yeah, that's right.
That's the reason I love all my 30 watt and 50 watt for rock and roll. But if I would have to play something, as you said, where you have to cover up some styles, for me it's better having 100 watts
Uh-huh.
because of the headroom,
Yeah.
and then tuning it so that I can also have a very good with pedals, sure,
Yeah.
a very good lead sound. And this go-to amp for me is my divided by 13 JJ 100,
Nice.
because
Nice.
that's a real good, let's say 100 watt plexi style, but because of he has got a master volume.
Got it. Mm-hmm.
That's important, because if I have an old super lead 100 watts, but you can't play on low levels with this amp. It's not possible.
Of course.
It's not possible. Even
Yeah.
on the right channel up, down input,
Uh-huh.
no, it's not. It's possible, but it's not a good sound.
Yeah, of course. It's like having a Ferrari and driving it at 30 miles per hour,
Yes,
right? It's like
exactly.
it's yeah,
That's a very good example.
that's great. That's awesome, man. So let's talk about a little bit. Because this is a question that I always make to every guest about the Vegatrem. Going back to the Vegatrem, what was the first thing you thought when you tried it for the first time?
It was it's perfect,
Mm-hmm.
because for me, I'm not dive bombing all the time.
Okay.
I use the tremolo most of the time for smoothing out some ending and have some chorus like effect. If the guitar is not really good in tune, it's perfect if you move it smoothly.
Yeah.
So for me, that's the more the Jeff Beck style.
Got it. Yes, yes, yes.
Let's say he's the master of tremolo.
I agree. I agree. Yes.
And that's all very easy with this Vegatrem.
We need to send one Vegatrem to Mr. Jeff Beck. So if someone knows him, please.
Yeah, sure.
He would love it. I'm pretty sure he would.
No,
love it.
no. I'm sure. But I have to say, he uses on his own guitar the Jeff Beck model of Fender. That's a little bit better than the very, very vintage tremolo system. It has rolling saddles and but he would be glad with the Vegatrem.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Yes, I'm sure of that. Have you ever tried those rolling nuts? I've never tried them.
No. Because if you treat the saddle properly, it's okay. I don't have a big problem with the saddle.
Yeah, well, that's right. That's when a good setup comes around, right? Because if you have a good guitar tech, a good luthier that can do good work, you wouldn't have problems. You wouldn't have tuning issues, right? As long as the nuts properly coated and well lubricated as well, you won't have any problem, right? It's just a matter of keeping your guitar in a good shape, right?
Yeah.
It is what it is.
That's the first thing you have to do. But then you can't expect miracles. So if you use it like Steve Vai or some shredding guys, so my go-to trick is if I have a really heavy dive bomb kind of thing, then in the next second I press everything as far as it's. Nobody hears it.
Okay.
So that the string goes back in place. So maybe because after this very heavy down ending, they stick a little bit. So you have to bring them back. But if you would try this with a tuner afterwards, it would be far away from perfect pitch.
Yeah.
That's not the real problem, because if you listen to some old Hendrix tunes, he used it very, very heavy, and he didn't care.
Yeah.
That's the first thing you have to know. If you are a frightening person and say, maybe I'm out of tune, so you shouldn't use a tremolo system.
Yeah.
Staring at the tuning. No. You have to take the risk a little bit more.
That's the thing. I mean, you have to, that's perfect. I really love that phrase. You have to take the risk, because it's true. I mean, sometimes in order to make good things, let's talk about Jimi Hendrix. What he did, was far from perfect, but was so amazingly powerful, right? And so beautiful. And so he was taking risks all the time, that's why 50 years or 60 years later we're still talking about him, because the guy was so important.
He was the man. Yes.
He was the man. That's right. That's the reason. Probably he's the reason why we are here talking right now.
Yeah.
All of us. I remember when and this is probably you have pretty much a similar story, but I remember I was an 8-year-old or 9-year-old, and my brother brought home a VHS tape, the VHS, remember those?
Yeah.
And it was the documentary for Woodstock, right?
Mm-hmm.
Woodstock. So, I was kind of digging everyone over there, the Who and Richie Havens and Janis Joplin and all these people, right? But towards the end of the tape, Jimi Hendrix showed up, at the end of the festival, right? It was done already. It was after all the night and everything. And I saw him playing Voodoo Child, and you see in that tape, I'm pretty sure you've seen it. the camera's right below him, so you can see him from a little down, down from his chest, and he's playing looking up, and when I saw that, I was for me it was like if I had seen God or something like that, it was truly it was a life-changing experience for me, I was like, man, I want to be that guy. I mean, it was all of a sudden he was the coolest guy on the planet, and I just wanted to be like him.
Yeah. Yes, I should mention you are a very, very, very good guitar player.
Oh yeah.
No, you are.
Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
No, I listened to something you on your channel. You play very, very good.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate it. Well, likewise. I really love your playing as well.
I have to. I'm the old one. If I don't, but I admire some of the young guys. It's incredible what young guys brought
Yeah.
to the table.
Yeah, it's I mean, what do you think about that? Because nowadays, maybe, guitar music is not on the mainstream, okay? It's more, it has become in the last years something more like a niche, right? But I think,
Sorry, not a niche. It changed to classical music, I would
uh-huh.
say, because
Oh,
not okay. You don't hear it in pop music
yeah,
in the charts.
yeah.
That's true, but it's still very present. So like classical music.
Oh yeah, no, of course, yeah. I totally agree with that. But my point is that since it's not in the mainstream,
No, not
that
in the mainstream. Yes.
that doesn't mean it's not popular, because I mean, I think Fender last year sold the most guitars in its story, right? So
Yeah.
so that's a good sign. And of course, all the kids nowadays, playing on Instagram is just it's completely mind blowing, right? So I would say
Yeah.
this is the best time so far in terms of guitar playing. I'm not sure if it would be in terms of art, but in terms of guitar playing, I mean, every 16-year-old right now, it's
Yeah.
just unbelievable, right? Wouldn't you
It
agree
is.
with that?
Yeah, totally. It's unbelievable. But
It,
the second thing is you have to do something with it, and that was always my point of view. Uh, it has to, you and your guitar, that's one story. But then you meet some other guys and you want to play music.
true.
There is a song normally, and not a pattern only, a drum
Yeah.
pattern. So
Ah,
you have to come up with some idea,
true.
something what can you bring to this song?
Uh-huh.
And that's a very, very important part for every musician.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
only being great and practicing, but having some good ideas for hooks.
Uh-huh.
The hook, that's the most important. If you remember the old days, the 70s, 80s, they were starting with the Beatles and everything. There always have been guitar hooks.
True.
And then there was the song, yes, and the singers and everything great, but the guitar hook, that
Yeah.
what catches up to the people, in my opinion.
No. I totally agree with you. It's true. I mean, that's the downside of this moment we're living right now because, of course, there's a lot of guitar gymnastics nowadays. And people who can play super fast and have an amazing technique. But we're watching things that are like 1 minute long, 30 seconds long.
Yeah.
Seems like there's no time for a new, for instance, you know, um, like a Pink Floyd song, that
Yeah.
takes 10 minutes to develop, right? Something like that. And that's a shame, because that's every time we think about memorable guitar parts or guitar solos, we always think about memorable songs as well, right?
That's it. The
Comfortably
one
Numb.
part is the guitar solo, okay. There are
Uh-huh.
no guitar solos anymore. But
Yeah.
the most important thing is the guitar part as itself. So not only everything can. You can't expect smoke on the water every day.
Yeah.
It's nothing else than the guitar in the beginning. But also the little things are important, what you do with your instrument to the arrangement. And that's very important, and that you can't train alone. So that's the backside of the. We all do it at home. We all do our stuff for ourselves. That's the most important thing, playing together with some other guys in a room for hours and hours and hours, making sessions and trying out things. That's missing a little bit.
It's true, and it's a shame. Yeah. I'm sorry.
That's because of me smoking.
Yeah, maybe. No. I'm just going through a little bit of coughing that I've been dragging for 2 weeks now, and it's crazy. I was feeling better today, but sometimes I still have these things. Anyway, yeah, I totally agree with what you were saying. It's a shame that these kids nowadays, seems like they don't get out of their house, and therefore their musicianship is not going to be complete, because music is with other musicians, not only by yourself, and you really, really need to, get out there and get into a rehearsal room and start making music with others, because, well, and especially you, that you have so much experience as a touring musician, as a professional guitar player, you know how important that is, right? Because I'm pretty sure you've seen this, I've seen it as well. Someone that has this amazing technique, a lot of knowledge of the guitar, but then when they get a gig like that, they can't do it because they don't know how to play with other people, or they don't know what their place is, right?
Yeah.
Right, and that's a shame, right?
That's a shame. Yeah. That's very important, because not every band needs Yngwie Malmsteen on guitar.
There you go.
No, I love him. I'm a fan of Yngwie.
Me too. Of course.
Because more is more.
Yeah. That's right. Have you seen that video? It's incredible, man. He's
great, but he never would be called for a session on a pop song. Maybe I can't imagine. But who knows? In the old days, in the 80s, maybe Quincy Jones would have called Yngwie Malmsteen for doing some
maybe.
order.
Well, but if he's called, I think it's just because they want him, they want his sound. It's the same thing. Like for instance, when David Bowie called Stevie Ray Vaughan, right, to play in that record, and they did the Last Dance song, right? Let's Dance, no? Yeah, Let's Dance, not Last Dance. No. Anyway, he was being himself, he was laying down those blues licks, throughout the whole song, and of course, I mean, he was called because of that, because he was himself. But sometimes when you're a session player, like you said, sometimes you have to wear different hats, right? Depending on the song that you're playing. And
I didn't like this. I didn't do many jobs like this, because if somebody wants me to play something, and he's telling names, please play like Mark Knopfler. Okay, if it's an explanation, that's okay.
Yeah.
But if somebody wants really a special type of guitar player, he should call him.
True.
Okay, call him. It's not impossible.
Yeah. True. Yeah. Well, that's
a flight, and he's here. And then he won't hear play like somebody else.
That's great. Yeah. I like that philosophy, man. That's great.
Yeah, I would say that would be an advice for producers.
Yeah, I agree. If you want someone to play like this other guy, just go ahead and call the other guy and spend some more money, right?
Yeah. Because the other thing is not authentic, and then it's not good.
True. Yes.
Maybe there are some really well-trained musicians who can do this, who are able to deliver everything on the
Yeah.
spot, but not really from their own heart. And the feeling is, I'm sure, is not perfect.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, that's something. I think it's something that you have to achieve just by being true to yourself as well. Because, for instance, I don't know if you agree with me, but for instance, someone like Michael Londo, right? He's
Mhm.
done so many sessions. He's been featured in so many records. From so many different artists and styles of music. And of course the guy is super versatile, right? But you always know it's him, because he
Yeah.
has this certain way of playing, this elegance in his playing,
Mhm.
and I'm pretty sure producers call him because they want that sound in their productions, right? And I think that's the ultimate compliment for a session musician, being
Yes.
someone like him, being
Yeah.
called just because they need you, they need your sound,
Yeah.
your tone, your feel when you play. That would be the best in,
Yeah,
in
there's
my
another
opinion.
part, a little part could be a little bit of name dropping.
Well, true. Yeah,
Oh, I
true.
have to have this name on my cover. So
Yeah,
let's call him.
that's true, but I think we agree the
Yeah,
guy
yeah,
the guy can
yeah.
deliver, right? So
Yes.
yeah, it's awesome. It's great. Okay, Helmut. So I think we've been talking for a while. We're gonna wrap it up already. It's been a pleasure, man. Very good.
Yeah, it was fun. It was really fun.
As I said, thank you very much, Bill, for being with us today. Please don't forget to subscribe to his channel and all his social media outlets. We're gonna have it in the description of this video. And thank you very much. And I hope we can repeat this anytime soon,
Yeah.
right? Next time from your studio, right?
Yeah. And what I have to mention, that's a new area because all you see on my channel is done when my cabinet was far away from me.
Okay.
So I'm really looking forward because I prefer standing in front of my equipment.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And that will be the next step, and also playing together with some other guys because that was not possible in my small place.
Okay.
There's two. That's also a good thing sitting in front of the studio monitors because
Uh-huh.
it's much easier to play precise and so, but nothing beats
Uh-huh.
a real wild amp
Yeah. Got
playing
it.
loud on the and you are in front of it.
I
Yes,
understand.
we will do this from the new place again.
Well, if the sound of your videos was incredible before, I just can't believe now with the improvement, it's gonna be unbelievable, So that's great. That's awesome. Well, so yeah, another reason for you guys to subscribe to Bibl Rock's YouTube channel, because you're doing a live stream every Wednesday, maybe.
Yeah, let's see. Maybe we try this. Yeah. It is always live, even
Oh,
if we are not really on stream. But that's the second thing I have to say. It's always live
okay.
because everybody can produce. We know
Uh-huh.
this.
Got it. Yeah. Uh-huh.
You can do everything, fix it by in the
Yeah.
mix, and so no, that's
Yes.
the real thing. Looking or above somebody's shoulder while working, so it has to be a really honest live
Uh-huh.
playing, and that's the good thing with live because then it's proven.
Nice. Okay, I understand. Well, that's great. So another, third reason for 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 watching Bibl Rock's YouTube channel.
And
So,
let's see if I can manage to get some vintage Vegatrem.
uh-huh.
Because
Yeah.
the first I have is a 2-point.
Okay.
For the vintage guitar, I would need the vintage.
The six screw one. Okay,
six screw,
yeah.
and then well, let's see how it works out in the old Strat, in the old lady.
Nice, no problem. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be incredible because that guitar already sounds great. So yeah, with the Vegatrem it's gonna be even better, of course. Okay, well, thank you very much, Helmut, for being here today, and to everyone else, you know, please subscribe to this channel, subscribe to Bibl's channel as well, and we're gonna be here next Thursday with a new guest. So till then. Be safe, have peace, play a lot your guitar, and see you next week. Bye bye.